Well, hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Kayla Unfiltered, the Housing Call-In Show. Bill 60 has officially passed, and while Ontario is buzzing with confusion, protest, and opinions, tonight we're cutting straight through the noise. We are here to talk about what this bill really means, what changes actually matter, and why is so many people reacting without understanding the full story. Joining me tonight is Katherine, a respectful operation and communication problem solver, real estate community, and a small business, aka also taxpayer, and Jonathan, a landlord property manager who has been in the trenches of Ontario's rental system. But before we dive in, I want to say this. We need more landlord stories. Too many good landlords are suffering in silence. Too many people have the idea what really is happening behind closed doors. The losses, the delays, the loopholes, and the emotional toll. Kayla Unfiltered exists so that stories can be heard. So if you're watching, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share the live stream. The more voices we bring together, the harder we are to ignore. All right, let's get into it. Bill 60 passed. Now what? And it's funny how I mentioned, like, let's get lots of voices because we will be heard. Come on, guys. You must have seen Bill 60, the vote that was being pushed through while Acorn, a tenant union organization, is in the gallery, so loud, throwing things. I was like, I've never seen anything like it before. Like, before I give, I gotta give you guys the platform here. We have Jonathan and Katherine. They have been a brave soul because a lot of people were like, how come the landlords are not in the gallery? Hello? Like, there would probably be assault charges and fist fight. Like, you cannot bring them in the same room together, guys. We are definitely trying to be peaceful landlords, giving our 2 cents to our elected officials, the Minister of Housing, Doug Downey, the Attorney General, and of course, Mr. Doug Ford himself. What would you expect us to do if we were in that gallery today when Bill 60 was being passed? Who wants to take it?
Yeah, no, it's that's crazy seeing those reactions, and that's
Now,
it's not normal for anybody.
let's give it a little bit of a here's a news outlet that did some reporting. I want to let people who, if they haven't seen it, let's show them what they're experiencing.
Demonstrators inside the legislature
They
were
really
so
didn't
loud
give
you
me
couldn't
much.
actually hear voting happening at some points. The government says this is all about opening up housing supply, getting homes built faster, but opposition just worries that this will mean people are on the streets sooner. An eruption of anger inside the Ontario legislature, with screams raining down on politicians from the galleries above as they voted on Bill 60, legislation that includes controversial changes for renters.
You're putting people on the streets!
From his seat, the premier yelled back for that demonstrator to get a job.
It's totally unbecoming of the office of the premier.
The man on the receiving end agrees.
Doug Ford hasn't had to go looking for a job in a while. He has no clue the difficulties that people are facing.
The legislature in such a state of chaos, security ordered the public out on a bill that skipped committee hearings.
People's voices do need to be heard.
Worried more renters will lose their homes.
Well, I heard it in the House today for sure, but I don't agree with it because we're creating balance in the landlord-tenant system.
The bill shortens the grace period for a tenant who missed rent before they can be evicted.
We're talking about big property managers who are getting rich off of these schemes, and they're the ones who are going to profit.
But small-scale landlords insist they need help.
I've had landlords call me crying because of a tenant that has not only did not pay rent for months and knows how to avoid the eviction, they also damaged the property.
Opposition parties say this bill does nothing to solve serious problems between landlords and tenants.
All it does is it points the finger at every single renter and tenant, of whom the vast majority are acting in good faith.
Frustration and fear that exploded into the open.
I understand why people are upset because they're desperate, because they can't afford to live in Doug Ford's Ontario.
Bill 60 also does away with localized building requirements like in Toronto.
So the rest is history, guys, there, but that is exactly what they got to experience. Now I have like the raw footage of happened as well. Maybe if we have some time throughout the show, I'll actually show it, because the high scream that came from the gallery what landlords are dealing with. This is landlords who deal with tenants like this inside of their property that overreact like this. Jonathan, before I cut you off, I had to show that video there.
Yeah. No.
Come on, like
it's no wonder why there weren't landlords there watching when you said it. Like you're not safe there. Somebody's going to attack you. Like there's so much hate now for small landlords. I've seen where people just say that like even the little grandma that rents out a spare bedroom is evil for taking somebody's paycheck or somebody's money, and it's just like, no, like these are regular people that maybe they have an extra unit, maybe they have an extra house or something. We have some friends that just today told us that they bought a new house. They're going to be leaving the city, and because it's not a great time to sell their house right now, they're going to be renting it out. And they're going to be renting it. They said they just want to cover the mortgage and the property taxes. They don't want to make anything on it. They don't want to be greedy. And they've already gotten attacked on their pricing. Somebody said $2,300 for a full house. Like, that's criminal. You're stealing from people and all this. And it's like, so even when you're trying to be good and help people out and add supply, this is a house that wasn't previously rentable. Now there's an extra unit there, and they're already getting a small taste of it. They're not even landlords yet. Just the intent to be a landlord now, they're all of a sudden vilified. Like that's what we're dealing with now.
I think we're getting mixed up. We're getting mixed up between like the big landlords and the big greedies and the REITs. And like, we are small landlords. We are small mom and pop. We are a single
We're not millionaires. We're not millionaires. I was a tenant myself 15 years ago. We bought our first house in 2014. 7-8 years ago, we became landlords. We're small time landlords. We're not millionaires.
No. And they think that we can afford to like pay the bills, the mortgages, the taxes, the utilities, the maintenance to a property without receiving rent is ludicrous. Now, again, like we go into like, the fact that there's not a landlords that were in the gallery and we're intimidated. And some landlords, like they want to come on and tell their story, but they're too intimidated because they have a case that's in front of the Landlord and Tenant Board. They know that legal aid that's representing these professional tenants are utilizing the platforms to screenshot anything that comes from a landlord who is just seeking advice on what they should do, how they should come against this broken system. And I'll give you a little, like I've showed a little bit of last time since my last live, but this is happening every day to me, guys, where we have some tenant who is, I don't know. She's obviously upset with the fact that I support Bill 60. I wrote a letter to obviously Toronto Today voicing that I support it. But this is what I have. This is every day in the morning. I will get an unknown, no caller ID that's coming to my phone because they're upset. They're either playing my voicemail back to me. They're playing Premier Ford's voicemail into my voicemail. They're not saying anything, or there's like, and like, this is like the craziness. And it's 22 voicemails. So if anyone's leaving me a message right now, sorry guys, it's not getting, you got to do some texting to get to me. But this is the type of behavior that these tenants are portraying and trying to silence landlords like myself. There's like, I got another shot here. I'll give it to you guys in a little bit, but this is where, the landlord associations are feeling intimidated as well to represent their members. And I think everyone has a right to represent whatever side they want to represent, because I don't think we're ever going to see the balance. Like, I know we have good landlords, good tenants supporting the good landlords. You see that in the comments, but there is these professional tenants out there that are just wanting to abuse a system because they want everything for free and they believe that housing is a human right. Katherine, you've been so quiet. This girl is online and she's on fire, guys. So don't let her fool you.
No, I'll tell you, one of the things when I've been watching the videos, I've been staying up to date on everything that is going on, because I mean, the reality is you've got good landlords and you've got not so good landlords. You've got good tenants and you've got not so good tenants. And then you have the professional tenants that are abusing the system. And here's one of my questions that I always kind of wonder. I wonder how passionate these people would be if they were in the landlord's shoes, if it swapped and they were actually the landlord.
Yeah.
It's right. Like, how would your perspective change? And they just come in with this entitled must have. And quite honestly, I'm just going to jump in because one of the things that I have said for years, I would love to get onto one of the committees for redoing these bills and bringing some common sense into the system. Because first and foremost, exactly what you said, Kayla, what gives these people the right to think that they are entitled to be able to live for free and to be able to spam the system and to be able to use it in all the loopholes? And what this bill has done is tightening that up. And quite honestly, I believe there's some common sense that needs to be brought to this, common sense that needs to be brought to the Landlord Tenant Board. And in my opinion, I believe that anybody who does not communicate and work out an arrangement with the landlord, because let's be real, life happens sometimes and there's left turns. There just is. And so I'm sure, in fact, I know a lot of landlords, I know a lot of tenants, when they've had life hit them and a left turn, they've had a conversation, they've worked out a deal. The landlords and the tenants can work together when life hits, but it's those people that are abusing the system. In my opinion, those that do should be, you've got 1 month to catch up on your last rent and make sure your next rent is paid in full. And once that is done, if you are not, and if you have not, and you have not communicated, that's it, man. Your unit is locked. All of your belongings are put into a dumpster and taken away, and man, you're out. You have to be a responsible tenant. You are an adult. You have been able to do this.
You have a contract.
Be responsible.
You have accountability. Like when we look at different things that we have that the government provides our tenant, where they have rent banks, they have portable housing benefit that is offered, they have free legal aid that's offered to some people. But there has to be a line drawn in the sand to where someone can't pay or won't pay.
Exactly.
And, right. And I think our government finally gets that. Like a lot of people are like, we waited for Premier Ford to like do something about this, but like not just housing that is in crisis right now. A lot of things are in crisis, but it's nice to see that they're finally listening to us to say, we want you, we don't want you to build it, manage it, or maintain it. And when we mean by that, we mean taxpayers. We just want you to help with the subsidy to the people who need it. When you're hiring adjudicators at $110,000 a piece, that could be money that we could be putting to a rent bank to help these people. We're not these greedy landlords looking to captivate on like kicking people to the street. And this bill does not do that. Jonathan, take us into one section of this bill that A, you like, or B, also to where tenants and NDP are trying to make it look like tenants are losing their rights.
So I would say that my favorite part of this bill actually is the fact that tenants would now have to actually pay 50% of their arrears and give notice in order to bring up an issue. I remember, so I just recently went through an eviction with a career tenant who I was her third landlord in a row that she had never paid. She owed about $40,000 to previous landlords. I was lucky. It only took me like 4 months to get her out, but that was still like close to $10,000 in the end. And I'm still dealing with the vacancy now and the cleanup and everything else. It's probably going to be vacant next month too. In the end, I'm losing probably closer to $15,000. And I just remember sitting through that day, and there's about 40 cases to be heard that day on the docket. And we're down to the last like half hour now. And there's still I'm counting down, there's like 20 still that haven't been heard. And we literally had somebody who, for a good 45 minutes to an hour, this tenant who owes $14,000 to her landlords and has not been paying. And she's tearing up and crying about how back in July she bought some ant traps. And it's like this, that has nothing to do with your rent. You owe $14,000 and you don't have any way to make a payment. The adjudicator's even trying to bring it back to the fact that she doesn't have any way to catch up on those arrears. So it's like, so the arrears are just going to keep increasing. And it's just the amount of, by the end of it, there was about 15 cases that got adjourned that day. I spoke up. I got very lucky. I said, hey, like, I don't think my case will take very long. And they just kind of slipped me in right at the end. And I was so lucky that I got in because so many people weren't lucky. And I've seen this so many times now where other landlords are saying, like, you know what, we applied back in March. We've been adjourned like 3 times. We haven't made it through yet. It's making it take 8 months, 12 months to get an eviction still. And it's literally people know that, especially like the ones I had there, she knew how to work the system.
Yep.
So she's been through this enough times. She knows to get the stay orders. She had a stay order the last time she was supposed to be evicted from her previous landlord, October last year. They ended up not getting her out until February, even though the original eviction date was like October 27th.
Now, how did you find out she was evicted before from it? Like,
So I found out after she moved in, the cases were uploaded to Open Room. And I had originally checked it before she moved in. She gave us all pay stubs, credit reports, everything, bank statements, everything looked really legit. And now with AI and everything, it's so easy to fake documents.
Yeah.
We trusted her. She seemed like a really good lady. She's a single mom to a pair of adult kids. We took a chance on her. We didn't see the need to grill her and go the extra mile to dig deep. And it wasn't until she said something that didn't make sense. She told me that I was going to be getting a check, and this is after she moved in, but she was going to be getting a check from the city in mind. It was going to be sent to me, a payment from the city. And I was asking, okay, well, why? Like, what's that for? And she said, back child support. The city doesn't deal with that. That's provincial. That's not the city. Found out that it was actually a program that was calling, and it was through the like a housing benefit for low income people. She wouldn't have qualified for it if she was making the kind of money she.
Why would she lie about that though? Like, just tell us, like, you're part of the rental
She was
system.
trying to stretch it out as long as she could, right? So she didn't want to admit that she was actually on welfare and that she was not actually making $100,000 a year like she claimed she was. She claimed she was an IT, customer support agent. And she said she was making $49 an hour. And it's like she had the great credit score and everything to go with it. She had a whole backstory. So she didn't have rental history because she was selling her mother's house and her mother had passed away and all this. Found out later her mother passed away years ago. It wasn't anything recent. So it's just everything made up, right? And then that's when we found she already had 5 orders against her. Five. So we were able to figure out ahead of time she's going to be applying for stay orders. And we did everything we could to try to block her and get ahead of it. She didn't even know until like 6 months in that we knew. So as we're getting close to the court date, it's like she just assumed that we still thought she was working and everything. She kept going with those lies and everything. It's like no, like
you know what's sad? Like we have to sit here and we have to talk about it. We have to know what the tenants are using for loopholes, but unfortunately at the same time we're educating people who don't know how to do it. So it's more important than ever the landlords speak up. And again, like, it sucks that you had to find out after she moved in, and it's so important for everyone to report their tenant's monthly payment history to front lobby. It goes directly to the tenant's credit. So if every landlord out there is doing your credit checks, you're going to find out before they even get into the place. Don't wait until it's uploaded to a site. Like, report it to their credit. It's a business expense. This is something that you can write off as an expense, and knowing that you're not just like impacting the tenant's credit and maybe they don't care, but at least you're helping your community members identify the people who are abusing it. I'm glad that our government is able to see that now. And that's why with the bill, and knowing that they don't pay rent and then they make an excuse that there's maintenance outstanding. And again, it doesn't stop tenants from saying there's a maintenance issue. You can still file for maintenance issues. You're just not bringing it up when the landlords bring you for non-payment of rent. You know, that's the fairness that people are not understanding. Katherine,
you're there for the L1. Yeah.
Like,
exactly. So Jonathan, sorry.
Go ahead.
So can you imagine if those tenants that you hadn't paid for the first month and they hadn't paid the second month and they were out, and all of that came out of the landlord, all of that backlog in the landlord tenant board dockets, they'd be gone. All of it. You don't pay, you're gone. So then when there is a true issue, when there is something that does need to be heard, then it can be heard and you have the time. It's not
the bigger benefit of all of this is right now there is still an incentive for people to scam the system. They have a reason to try to get a free year of rent because they know they can. If every single time, even if the landlord lost a full month, so they paid their first, they paid their last, and there was a whole missing month in there that you didn't get paid, what tenant is really going to go through that much effort to try to find 4 places a year, 4 different places that they're going to have to move from each time, right? Like there's no incentive at that point. Like there's no reason. And I'm hoping that the career tenant I just got rid of, her past landlords, it was 9 months, 8 months. I got her out in luckily 4 months, and that's still too long, but 4 months, she ended up having to abandon all her stuff because she didn't even have a place to go to next. So she abandoned everything, furniture, everything. She had leased all new furniture from a rental company. She left it all behind because she was going to be couch surfing for the next, who knows how long. And as far as I know, she still does not actually have a fixed address yet. And maybe now she'll learn her lesson. Like, and even when I found out about all this, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe she's going to try to turn over a new leaf. Maybe she sees that the board's starting to speed things up and everything, and that, you know, she won't get away with as much. Maybe she'll actually try to stay. My rental was $1,000 a month cheaper than her previous place that she wasn't paying at. $1,000 a month cheaper. So she could have made it work. She actually had enough money coming in between all the benefits, and she had 2 adult kids that could have been working. Between the 3 of them splitting the rent, it was very affordable.
I was actually just going to say that, like, we do have the problem with, you know, OW and ODSP not, you know, having enough for shelter, but you're saying that based on what she was receiving, that there was enough.
She was receiving a COB benefit, so that was $1,800 or whatever they get for that, plus the OW, plus her kids. There was enough there that they could have made the rent work.
Wow. And this is a proven point, guys, where we have people who are going through the loopholes. And I could say that I spoke with a lawyer at one of the landlord events, and he was talking about how landlords are filing bankruptcy. They're filing bankruptcy, and the Landlord and Tenant Board is dismissing the application, but they should be putting a stay on the eviction to give the landlords enough time to go to to go to bankruptcy court. Should be criminal court. But they should be going there to lift the stay. So again, these are like, there's so much more that needs to be done. And like Bill 60 is just a drop in the bucket for landlords. It's a small win. Yeah. It's definitely a small win. We're seeing that
in the right direction.
And it's just like 7 days before is like, yes, like I just seen like with City News, they're like, you know, hey, you're going to be making people like have to pay their rent sooner. I'm like, rent is due on the 1st. Like,
yeah.
Like, what do you mean sooner? No, rent is due on the 1st. They have an entire month to pay their rent.
And you signed a contract. You signed a contract.
Again, like, this isn't like, most landlords are not going to evict a good tenant. So if they actually communicate to them and say, hey, like, you know, I missed some work, I'm going to be catching up. That's one thing. I get tenants all the time where they say, you know what, I get paid on Friday. Is it okay if I send it 4 days late? I'm never like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to file an N8 eviction here to get you out for chronically being late all the time. Like, I don't even file anything with that. It's like, okay, yeah, you told me. Okay, great. It's the ones like this one here where she doesn't tell you, you know, that they ghost you and you know they're not going to pay. And then sure enough, they don't make a single payment. They don't even try to come up with a payment arrangement or anything.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we're talking about evicting. Like a good tenant, we're not wanting to get rid of them. I don't want to go with vacancies. I don't have to clean out the apartment, replace the floors again, paint it again, get it all ready for another tenant, and then spend 2 months trying to find that next tenant. I would rather keep the tenant I have as long as they're paying their rent and they're treating the place with respect and they're being respectful to other tenants and neighbors.
Yep.
Why do we want to get rid of good tenants? And that is, I think, where the outrage that I've been seeing, like on TikTok and everywhere, they're just skipping right to everyone's going to be homeless. Everyone's losing their place. Everyone's terrified about this bill. There's nothing in the bill about that.
We got Bill 60 is instead of filing at the Landlord and Tenant Board we have to wait 14 days to file currently. Yeah. It's now 7.
Yeah.
The tenants still have the power to wait until the hearing, which is still taking some time. They still have to wait for the order to come to their email or to their portal. They still have to wait 11 days from the actual order to file for the sheriff. And they also have to wait for the sheriff, which is a backlog for many places.
And in some regions in Peel, it's 11 weeks. I got lucky. I got mine in 3 weeks. And they had all the timelines posted there at the court office, and it was literally 11 weeks. And it's like, I can't even imagine, like you finally win, you finally get what you're supposed to get, and you have almost 3 more months to wait.
And the other part of Bill 60 is that they're going to hire some more sheriffs. Now it's probably going to be a temporary basis.
I know in my city in Hamilton here, we have 1 sheriff. And that's a city of 800,000 people, and that's for all courts.
All courts. the REITs, like they're doing foreclosures. It's not just landlord and tenant, it's one. So I do applaud the change of hiring more sheriffs. We talked about private bailiffs once upon a time. It was a thought for them, but they didn't fully do it. But hey, we can still push that idea, because I think it is important, because they're taxpayers with the sheriffs. Now we had the N12, so personal use application. So we have personal use application that is happening where we have to do between 60 to 119 days. There is compensation still, but if you give 4 months notice, there is no compensation. And this is where the tenants yell, guys, oh, the landlord's bad faith evictions. I don't think they remember Bill 97, where it literally said Tenant Protection Act. And that is where they fine landlords $100,000 for an individual and up to $500,000 for a corporation. So the rules and the consequences are there for the bad actor landlords. Bill 60 is now the bill to protect small landlords against the bad actor tenants. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's more than fair. Like, really, I mean, if you give 4 months notice, that's plenty. Like, they have time to look around. And that doesn't even mean that you can't communicate to your landlord and say, hey, I found a place, but it's going to be an extra 30 days or something. Like, there is still that option that, okay, you know what, you can negotiate outside of the courts and sign an N11 on that. It's like 4 months is plenty of time now. Like, there's not, you could tell somebody 2 years in advance. It's not going to make a difference at that rate. Like, how much more notice than 4 months do you really need?
Now, so Catherine, jump in here anytime, because we're going to go through like Bill 60.
I absolutely. It's so interesting what you're saying, and the points are so true. But I think, Jonathan, to kind of pull it together, what it is that you're saying is the secret between the landlord and the tenants is building a relationship.
Yes.
It's having that open communication. It's building the relationship. It's saying, hey, we really like it. It's knowing and trusting that these are responsible tenants that are going to care of your property. Sure, when, exactly as you say, when you go in, you're going to have to repaint and you're going to have to do a deep cleaning. But do you really have to go in and redo the floors? Do you really have to go in and get a new refrigerator and a new dishwasher and everything? Because people have just wrecked it purposefully by having zero respect. And I think that's what the bottom line is, that people need to be respectful, that they are in somebody else's property. And I just believe that there is a relationship, like that's where you gain the trust. And exactly, if somebody as your tenant came to you and said, look, I need an extra few days, it's not a problem, because you know that they're not lying. You know that they're not trying to scam you. Exactly. And I that's just so important.
Yeah, I have some great relationships with some of my tenants. And so it's not like it's a us versus them kind of scenario. It's like, we're on the same side. I have tenants. I've got one guy, he makes great money and everything, and he actually wants to be a landlord himself. And so he's always asking me for advice and how to get into it. And he's saving towards buying his first rental property. I've watched as some of my tenants have gone on to buy their first houses and start their families and everything like that. So like, we're always rooting for their success. We're always there. I've helped some of my tenants get into investing and things like that, like trying to help them succeed in life. We have great relationships with them. I drive my basement tenant to his doctor's appointment sometimes. Like, it's like, they're a senior couple, and his wife had the car, and he asked me if I could take him. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, and we've done favors like that for each other back and forth. Like, we've lived in the same house. They moved in a month after we moved into this house. So we have a basement suite here, and they've been our tenants for 7.5 years now. Yeah. So we have a great relationship with them. They've watched our kids grow up. Like,
we have that. We're not like, and I think this is where we have to look at that narrative. Look at the NDP narrative. Look at the far left groups that are out there who are being funded by CUPE, a union representing municipal workers. Like, they're too far left to what the extreme is. And you see it through the comments of the articles that I post, is that they're wanting to just peg and paint all landlords with the same brush. And we have to sit back and understand that we have these landlords being the backbone of our industry, and they are being taken advantage of. This is rent theft. What's happening is rent theft. It's clear and simple. We have people who've been charged for stealing 39 pounds of apples.
Yeah.
But you can get away with not paying $50,000 in rent. You have no means to make a payment arrangement, and you're going to have the nerve to stand in front of those elected officials, throw things at them, be so loud that you were preventing them from voting on something that majority of us are and even good tenants are looking for. It was like, who are you? Like, where did this entitlement happen? And I can tell you right now, I listened in on some of these hearings, and there was a tenant was complaining about the snow removal that was not being done on their property. And the adjudicator asked her, is like, did you talk to the landlord? She's like, no, I told the city. And what did the city say? Well, the city said that the landlords have 24 hours from when the snow falls. So here, this tenant was just trying to be vindictive, trying to make this a maintenance issue that's backlogging the landlord and tenant board to make it look like they can get money back from their rent as a rent rebatement. They are abusing this. And just like the tenants are doing cash for keys, they're also going through the landlord and tenant board to see what money they can get back on their rent. Like, when is enough? Because we're not going to sit here and allow our taxpayers to pay for the mismanagement of the landlord and tenant board and having to hire more adjudicators just because it's not running efficiently as it should be, nor paying for the legal aid for tenants to take advantage of poor landlords.
Yeah. I always I don't see how it's fair that you could literally have like just some old lady who's retired and just, you know, in her 80s or something like that running a rental, and she doesn't know the legal system. She doesn't have the means to hire a paralegal or a lawyer, and she can't get a free consultation on the day of the hearing. She can't, like, you have one typo and they're still throwing out cases. Yeah. I've literally watched it happen. I saw one where it was they put the billing period from the 15th to 15th of the month instead of 15th to 14th of the month, and the adjudicator was just ripping them apart, saying, well, how can I trust anything you said in your application because the dates are all wrong? It's like, well, like, you know what he meant.
Well,
but
you know what,
this is crossed out, right?
Like, this is not part of Bill 60, but again, this is about what we need to keep pushing. Now, I know a lot of people, you could be tuning in right now. They want to know what's going on. Like, we're taking Bill 60. We're going on our little tangent about, like, we talked about the 7 days. We talked about the personal use application and not giving compensation. You know, we're just stay with us, you know, just rewatch it if you just tuned in. But there is that other part of Bill 60 with consistency late. And again, like, a landlord kind of pulls this one out of their hat kind of when they're obviously dealing with tenant that's not paying rent for a long time, but they're also pulling it when the tenants are being difficult. Like, let's be real. And when you are dealing with a tenant that is being difficult, like, yes, you're going to go and you're going to file your N8 application. You're going to bring it to the landlord and tenant board, and it's going to be up to the adjudicator what they feel is persistency late. Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 8? Like, we don't really quite know. It's going to be the luck of your draw. It's like Russian roulette at the landlord and tenant board. Bill 60 puts that into perspective, right? Puts it into what is going to be considered late payments. Because as of right now, we can go to the landlord and tenant board underneath the N8. You can say that the tenant's being late. They're probably going to put a section 78 as long as the landlord's requesting a section 78, which means that the tenant is going to be paying on time and in full from here on out. And then if not, then you're filing an N4 application. And that's what these tenant unions were talking about with someone was being evicted for like 90
or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, no, this was a section 78 that they were supposed to make their payment on the first of the month. They didn't. They made it 7 days later. And that's what technically should have warranted an eviction, because there's a contract. There's a contract in place. And I can't get away with that with my bank. So why are the tenants being a protected class of citizens when landlords are dealing with the broken system in themselves, right? Catherine, what do you got to say? Talk about the Bill 60 in itself is like, it's little crumbs that we're getting, but it's a big crumb.
It is.
It's a big crumb to what we've had.
It's a little one, but it's a big one. I love the fact that Kayla, you and the landlords, Ontario Landlords Watch, what it is that you're doing is, with your credibility that you've established over the years of not doing smoke and mirrors, you're actually taking what those line by line in Bill 60, what it is that it actually means, and then also taking what it is that the NDPers and all the others that are slashing it, and they're full of smoke and mirrors and saying, nope, you're making everybody homeless and this and that and everything else with all their others. But you're actually taking that and dissecting it and saying, no, this is reality and this is not. These are the people that are trying to get everybody riled up. When I saw the number of people that were part of that protest this past weekend, that were all in the streets and their signs, and then again today when everything was happening in Parliament, it was almost a palm to the forehead moment, because you wonder what happened to the common sense with these people. Just and you're doing a great job, and actually I'd love to hear just a little bit more, because I know that you have more for tonight to share with us on some of those divisive issues, and by divisive I mean the smoke and mirrors versus what reality is.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that. Like, I think we have to understand that this is a political theater. You know, it's political
Yes.
theater every time we look at even the conservatives, the liberals, the NDP. And unfortunately, the NDP, I feel, are misguiding our tenants out there on purpose so that it is an easy way for them to target the conservative government from doing what is right, doing what is fair, bringing the accountability back into the Landlord and Tenant Board, where the pendulum has swung so far throughout the year, especially with other levels of government, including a standard lease. You know, these are the things that we have to speak about, because we don't want these good tenants out there being played as pawns. And I think that's what the NDP is doing. And we have different tenant unions standing with the NDP, and now trying to say that more and more people are going to the food bank because of their rent. No, I think our food prices have went up. Why? Because I get in trouble for my grocery bill every single month. Like, the food prices have gone quite up there. That's not because of the rent. That is because food prices have gone up, but they want to twist the narrative to make it look like landlords are just greedy and the money that the tenants are paying are going right into their pocket. In reality, it's going to the property taxes, it's going to insurance, it's going to a maintenance. Does anybody know the cost of a roof that needs to be replaced? Do they know the water heater that needs to be replaced? Do they not know what flooring cost or drywall cost and the labor to install it? Like, this is the stuff that they don't understand because they're not in the trenches like we are. They're not into the business of providing housing. And many people are like, landlords, get a job. I'm like, do you want to see a video of me lifting buckets of water out of a hole out of my basement because the city water main had broken? Or my husband out there lifting sheets and sheets of drywall to bring a unit back to what it was? Like, we are working hard as housing providers of Ontario, and it's sad that we have political parties trying to make this look like it's a landlord and tenant situation, but instead they want to not take the accountability for their own actions and their mismanagement of this housing, and they're preventing our government from doing what is right. And that, knowing that our first vote got deferred because they were praising, the NDP were praising, good job guys, you deferred this vote. Well, you know what? I was proud of our conservatives today, standing up against the bulliness. And for the person who is calling me every single morning, there's a feature on your iPhone, guys. It says, do not allow these block callers. So, honey, I'm living rent free in your head. So I'm not going to stand back and watch our tenants, our good tenants, be literally deal with the consequences of professional tenants taking advantage of our system. And I need you guys loud and clear. I know sometimes we have a liberal or NDP or a green little party that you don't feel is listening to you. I still need you to communicate that with them. I want you to communicate it to our media. And I want to thank the media, especially CP24, for allowing me to come on today and be that voice for small landlords. And it sucks that I couldn't be there in the gallery to represent you, but I'm not in jail, so you know it's good.
And you're also not in the hospital.
And I'm not in the hospital. They were throwing things. Like, this is
Yeah.
what we have to deal with. This is what we have to deal with. And honestly, with Bill 60 coming out, the tenants still have their rights. They still have their day in court. They still have their stays. They still have their review. The one thing I want to make sure that we do see with that review process as it works itself through the Landlord and Tenant Board, because people are asking, like, when does this take effect? I'm like, I know you're excited about it, but it's going to take some time for the Landlord and Tenant Board to readjust their forms. Everyone's got to be like like fully aware of it. Anytime there's something posted, I'll make sure I inform you on the Ontario Landlords Watch channel, and of course my personal profile, because this is about us staying connected. And I know that people are like wondering, like, wow, like Acorn is so organized. I'm like, because they get funding. they have QP giving them $5,000. They see the city of Toronto giving them money to, and it's supposed to be for education, but instead they're using it for evil. Like this is not about, you need the private sector. We need that arm. It's going to take a lot of people at hand here to deal with not only the housing crisis, but the affordability. Like it's an affordability crisis that we are dealing with. And honestly, the worst is yet to come.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that you mentioned earlier, Kayla, which is important, is that front lobby is phenomenal. Like it's such a fabulous platform for those tenants who are kind of just entering into the market. Maybe they're new immigrants, maybe they have come from a broken relationship, maybe their first time apartment or looking for, but they have to establish credit. And what a fabulous way for them to establish credit is through front lobby, and as well also a good communication vehicle for all landlords to be able to go back and be able to look and say, yeah, exactly, hey, this person has got a history of really trying to spam the system.
Yeah. Exactly. And like for all the tenants out there, like, oh, I don't think we should be looking at credit. It's like, dude, just because it's bad doesn't mean that you can't rebuild it. You can rebuild it by getting your landlord to report your payment history. Like start doing good now for yourself, because landlords, we could be understanding when there's a divorce and you've had a bankruptcy and things like that. We can understand if you didn't pay your Rogers bill. Like we totally get that. But we want to know that you can make your payments on time and in full, because nothing comes for free. Nothing comes for free. We have landlords that are going belly up right now. And I have stories that I'm going to be sharing in the next segments of landlords who lost their properties. Not because that the tenant was like, oh, well, the tenants will say, oh, well, you shouldn't be a landlord if you can't afford it. I was like, no, they could afford it. But yeah, like they came under hard times. They had an illness. They had a hardship in their family, and you stopped paying rent at the same time. And now they're in an open mortgage, having to make these payments, have to be dealing with the punishment. Like, why can't landlords in Ontario ask for a late fee like other provinces? Why aren't we looking at other provinces? Don't look at BC. BC's a write-off. Look at Alberta. Look at like the way people can file in PEI for free to have their dispute dealt with at the Landlord and Tenant Board in PI. Why are we charging $186?
And it never gets paid. Like they award it, so the tenant has to pay it. We never get a dime from this. Like I know this tenant I just evicted on welfare. I'm never going to see a penny of that. So, oh yeah, great. You gave her the $186 fee on top of the $8,000 she owes. Like it doesn't help. It doesn't.
And let's make it clear, when anyone does, like, you don't need an order to report the tenant's debt to front lobby. You don't need the tenant's consent to report it to front lobby, but you can only report the unpaid rent and the unpaid utilities. You can't do the 186. You can't do the damages unless you have an order for damages. That's the only way that you're going to be able to put this on the tenant's credit. They are doing the good and the bad. It's not a bad tenant list. We can't have one here in Ontario. That's why it's very important for that monthly rent reporting history to be so vital. Like it's been forever. Like we finally have tools. Like these are the tools. I tell people now, like I used to call it the game changer. I'm like, no, it's a tool. It's the tool. It's the tool every landlord in Canada and the United States needs to be using, because we do have people that unfortunately they just don't got their morals in check, right? And they are going to look at the most weakest of landlords out there to give you the saddest story to come in there. And again, landlords are not a charity. Unfortunately, like a lot of people think like, hey, you should be doing it. It's human rights. No, like the fact remains that we have bills that need to be paid as well. And we're providing you something that the big landlords can't provide you.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I've been shaking all days, guys. I actually had my time talking to Premier Doug Ford on the phone today. I'll say that. I wasn't going to say it, but it was after, guys. So don't worry. I didn't influence him. It was after. But just knowing what that man has to deal with and knowing that I'm like, hey, I got 44 phone calls in a half an hour. And he's like, imagine 1,000. I'm like, it's probably the same person calling me. And it was like, she was leaving a voicemail of his voicemail to me. And I'm like, so I'm like, don't think it's fully all the tenants that are out there out to get you, Mr. Ford. But at the same time, we do need to come together. We need a task force. We need to fix what is broken. We need to fix and put a lot more love and tender care into Bill 60 rolling itself into the Landlord and Tenant Board, and just know that there is a lot more loopholes to close, but you get to see what they felt like. I love to get any elected official out there. If you're listening to I want to know how you felt watching those tenants in that gallery. And what did you feel? Did you feel like you wanted to stand up and protect them? Because to me, that's what landlords are feeling like, to try to tell their story. They've been silenced. And I'm glad that I'm able to take this channel, this YouTube, and try to make it a voice for you guys to share your voices, because it's important for us to share it. Because every elected official I speak with, they're like, do you have a story? Yeah, I got stories. I got 15 years of stories.
And that's like, we are the minority in this, right? Like, we are outnumbered by the tenants. They do make up the bigger portion of the voters out there. So that is where, in a lot of ways, this is political suicide to even tackle this kind of an issue. And that's where, now everyone's calling for Doug Ford to resign, and everything else is just like, you hear this and it's like, well, like, he's actually finally doing something that needed to be done for a long time. And at the end of the day, like, for the number of landlords that have been leaving the system now, like leaving the province, investing elsewhere, closing their rentals, if our basement tenants ever leave, we're considering, like, we probably won't rent it out again, because we don't want to take a chance of somebody moving into our house that we know we can't get rid of, who could be terrorizing us, essentially. Like, and it's at that point we're driving away investors, right? And that just creates a shortage of housing.
You're right.
Who's doing that? Like, we need people buying housing. We have all these condos in Toronto just sitting empty. Nobody's buying them. And that would have been landlords buying these. And that would have encouraged more buildings to get built, which helps keep housing costs down. But nobody's buying them. They're sitting vacant. Nobody, and if nobody's going to buy them, there's always people out there that, even if housing dropped half, like, 50% of the value overnight, there are people that still would never be able to get a mortgage. So they need to have those options out there, and having more options benefits all renters.
That's exactly what I've been saying. I'm like, you think all tenants are going to be homeowners? I'm like, they got to have the credit. They got to have the down payment. They got to have the good job. Like, you can't just get a bank loan.
I'd say it's 5% of them, maybe. 5% are looking to buy in the next year. And if house prices came down 50,000, okay, now they can get their foot in the door. Yeah. But for the majority of renters out there, they don't have a down payment. They don't have the great credit score. They don't have the income. Like, we've gone through that buying our first house. We had to show pay stubs. We had to show they asked for every document. And it took years for us to just get approved for a mortgage. It was like 3 years of trying to build up credit, trying to get, okay, I got to stay at this job, even though I really want to quit, but they need to see my stability for the last couple of years. So many tenants just assume like they'd magically be homeowners overnight if landlords were all just out of the game and forced to sell, and house prices are going to plummet down. Like, I do a lot of like building and construction. It's how cheap do they really think houses are going to be when materials cost this much, a plumber costs this much, your roofer costs this much, your HVAC systems. It's always going to cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. Nobody is going to build a house and sell it for less than what it costs them, and they need to get their profit to the builder. They're not doing it for free. If there's no qualified buyers out there, right, nobody's buying it, they're not going to build it.
You nailed it. Like, we got nonprofit housing providers coming up with $486,000 as that's what it's being cost to like get these units like built. Like, we're not asking taxpayers to build, manage, and maintain it. We're just asking you to subsidize the people going in there, right? Like, you're competing. And I remember having my meeting with Christine Hogarth, who was the parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Housing at the time. She said, profit should not be a bad word, and the government shouldn't be in competition with the landlords. And that is true. Like, we're here putting our sweat and equity. We're the ones building it. Like, we're managing it, we're maintaining it, we're providing jobs to hiring these contractors. Like, anyone knows, like, if you're doing a contracting job for the government, the price actually triples. anytime you're doing a government job. But like for us, we're dealing with something that's more affordable. And I know that we see a lot of our tenants out there who think that you're getting landlords out of the way. That's 10 to 30 years, 10 to 30 year wait to get into government housing. Like who else is going to be building it if the nonprofits are struggling, the government is struggling, and the nonprofits are like, why be in this province when I can just skip off to Alberta, go to Mexico? People are taking their chances in Mexico.
Yeah.
Catherine, what are you hearing?
I'm hearing Costa Rica. I'm hearing Costa Rica, and I'm hearing Belize.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Seriously, because the landlords say, I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore. This isn't why I came in. And the other thing that our public servants, those that are salaries are being paid by the taxpayer, they have such a wide range of benefits afforded to them. Whether they're like, it doesn't matter which area of the public sector that you're in, they have benefits for health. They have their unions that are giving them. I know what I pay for my cell service, for example, and literally I happen to be overhearing a conversation, and then of course I did. I inserted myself into it, asking questions of curiosity and asking, did I hear that right? They're paying through their unions, they're getting benefit as part of their benefits, the same program that I'm paying well over $100 a month for all of the benefits and all of the features that I need for my business and my personal life. They're literally getting the exact same thing from the exact same provider for 75% less than what I'm paying. So for us to be able to put things into, a comparative of apples to apples and oranges to oranges, it's really hard to do that. And I did hear one thing today where somebody said, and I'm sorry, I don't remember because there was a lot of information coming in from a lot of people today, but they did have a point to where those that are making the rules, those that are in government, how are they able to understand what it is that the small landlords are going through, even what the corporate landlords are going through? And how are they able to understand some of the situations from the tenants? And I'm talking about the good tenants, those that are the responsible and are ideal tenants that we just love to have, but not those that are abusing the system and are purposefully abusing the system. And those same people that are abusing the systems are very frequently ones that are already receiving government subsidies. Those are already the ones that are able to work the system. And so there's far greater opportunity for communication. And I think one of the things that our elected officials really need to be able to do is to sit down and to be able to say, whoa, wait a minute. I have lived a privileged lifestyle for a while. Maybe always they have, maybe they haven't, but to be able to stop and put themselves into the shoes of the other person. And that's one of the key things for anybody to do in negotiations, in conversation. What is it that they're going through? Let's ask questions of curiosity and not judgment. That's, I
Curiosity
believe,
killed the
what
cat, they
Whitman
say.
said. Exactly, they did. But it is also open for people to understand the other perspective, and in that way be able to come to the table and say, this is what common sense is. We might not be able to have a win-win for everybody, but let's change it to where it's not this 80-20. Let's bring it more closer to the center, to maybe 50-50, but have a true understanding what everybody's coming through and not having their own personal political agendas, what are at the forefront, but actually the people and those us taxpayers that have elected them.
You know what? That's well said. I think that everyone can learn something from this video tonight, because this is about unleashing what some people won't say. And I want to thank both of you for coming on and being able to share your experience, because I think a lot of people they lost hope. And I think Bill 60 brought that hope back. But I do want our government to step up. I need them to identify what municipalities are doing between making landlords responsible for tenants' delinquent utility bills, introducing landlord licensing. Hamilton, guys, they are having a meeting that's happening on December 2nd at the City Hall in Hamilton. This is the belly of the beast, guys, for Acorn. So if you are free and come with armor,
Usually put on your armor.
You bring your armor.
We have our vacancy tax. We have the landlord licensing in a few of our districts already, and there's talk about rolling that out everywhere. They just love to make it harder and harder to be a good landlord here, and it's not helping our housing problem.
No,
we have a homeless problem here in Hamilton.
It's putting cost onto the homeowner who's going to pass that cost on to the end user, deep down. And that's why we fight so hard against this. You make it look like, oh, you were going to get more service or we're going to get more protection, but instead you're going to get higher rents or you're going to see less supply. That's what tenants are going to get because government wants to look like they are doing the best thing for everyone, and they want to do smoke and mirrors. There's an election. There's a municipal election coming up in 2026. They are going to captivate on the war that's happening between landlords and tenants, and they're going to try to make it look like they're doing something to address these landlords' concerns. Deep down, if you look at the safetiness, landlords, if you have a property, obviously landlord licensing is for the safetiness, but we have tenants that can file at the Landlord and Tenant Board. We also have city property standards. So if tenants are complaining, they can go through property standards. They will come out and investigate. They will give an order to the landlord. They have a certain time frame in order to correct. I've been talking all day, guys. Correct their behavior. If not, they're going to come in and they're going to complete the work and bill it back to the landlord. Like, the system is there to protect these tenants against bad actor landlords. But to say that landlord licensing is going to be something like, I'm hearing that it was $2 million, Jonathan, to run this program as a pilot, and they are short $1.7 million. And if they try to go ahead and stretch this out to all of the city, does taxpayers know about this? Do they know it's not working? And do they know that this is just political theater that these counselors are trying to take advantage of to get themselves voted back in for the next election?
Yeah. No,
simple as that. Anyone who's screaming rent eviction bylaw, anyone who's doing landlord licensing, watch these counselors and vote them out for the next one. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. I'm just saying, I've been in this industry for 15 years advocating for the good landlords, the good tenants, and the taxpayers. And I'm thankful for Katherine to be on this show tonight as a taxpayer, because you're paying for this mismanagement of the Landlord and Tenant Board. You're watching more adjudicators being hired just because they're allowing tenants to have story time for 3 hours while they didn't pay their rent. Right? Come on, guys.
Like a great gig, actually. Maybe I should apply.
Oh, I've applied.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Right? Let's all get jobs there.
Dude, I have applied just for the shits and giggles of it, guys. You think they're gonna? I'd be the Judge Judy of the Landlord and Tenant Board. They would not like me very much. But you know what I would do?
Right?
I would make sure that
I would be right in with you.
But I would guide those tenants to where they can get assistance if they truly need it, because the system is out there. The tenants do have the resources. They do have the tools that they need to be able to combat any bad landlord that's out there. They have the support. They're just taking advantage of it. So don't hate on our PCs today. If you agree with what everyone had said in this video, please subscribe. Please share it. We're just a small landlords association started in 2010 over water billing. And I'm proud to say we're making some headway in Cambridge with that, because they know that tenants are being evicted just for not paying their water bill. And I'm trying to change that as well, right? I'm trying to change the way that municipalities are doing something just to protect the revenue of the city. But at the same time, you're causing tenants to become homeless just because they couldn't pay their water bill. I fight for the good tenants that are out there, and I fight for the good landlords. So don't come at me thinking that I just want everyone homeless. I'm looking at the policies that are broken, and I'm looking at ways to fix it so that we can continue to provide the necessary service to our community. Katherine, Jonathan, give me your take. Give me your voice to landlords. Give me like your thoughts to our elected officials. Give me something one at a time before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think it's a great first step. There's a lot of things that I think need working on, and we really need to see some of those changes. If we have a minute, just one of the things I always thought was, eventually if I want to retire one day, I'd like to be able to sell off my property. And I've seen like my realtor have a property where they have a bad tenant they can't get rid of, and this tenant just making it so they can't do showings. You end up literally he's asking everybody he knows, like, they're willing to take 100,000 below asking because they just need to get rid of it, and the tenant comes with it. There needs to be something there for people that are ready to retire. I know a lot of older landlords now that are in their 60s and 70s, and they're getting too old for this now. They want an exit. There needs to be something in there where they can take back the property, even if it was just like once throughout the entire time they own the property, and they have to sell it within 6 months. There could be all kinds of protections there for the tenant. If they don't sell it and they rent it to someone else, there's still all these fines that they can get fined for. But there needs to be something in there so that they can get rid of the property, and they have the ability to go in there, clean it up, paint it, stage it, and sell it. Their exit, right?
Retire. Let us retire from being a landlord.
Exactly. And that is helping. That's exactly what these tenants are asking for. Sell your property, sell your property. Okay, great. Maybe a first-time homeowner can now buy that property. They're not going to buy it if there's a tenant that comes with it, and it's now on them to evict their tenant. And I've seen it on that side too. I've seen people say, yeah, we just bought our first house and it took us 8 months to get the tenant out so we could finally move in. And we had to move in with our parents because we were essentially homeless because they didn't leave when they were supposed to.
It's not right.
No,
and remember, guys, like, just you're renting. I understand this is your home and you made it your home, but it's not your forever home. That's why home ownership, you should be accounting the fact that we need more rules in place to help you become a homeowner, but it's not your forever home. And this is someone else's hard work and dedication who bought this home. And if they want to retire, you should let her retire. But at the same time, we know that our real estate brokers out there are knowing that their clients don't want to see anything that's tenanted because they know how difficult it is for them to move into it. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your thoughts. And I'm sure we're going to have you back on again, sharing your thoughts of what needs to be changed, because this is only a tip of the iceberg of what needs to change, because we know there's so much that's been outdated. And, we know we need to protect our housing providers just as we need to protect our good tenants. Katherine, come on, give us some wisdom, girl.
Great. It's the great first step, and it's a long time coming. I'm glad to be able to see it, and I'm just really hoping that right. And I'm really hoping that it does not take a long time for this to come into effect. The forms being changed, the systems and the processes being changed, and then to be able to very quickly be able to see some changes to the positive as to why this is starting to work. It is starting to be a win-win for everybody all the way along. And I hope it also puts into perspective that those that are actually trying to do the smoke and mirrors, and let's get the truth out there and the common sense. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. And I want to thank all of our sponsors. I have five sponsor guys. We are a small landlords. We're not being funded by CUPE. If I did, I would have a newsletter for you guys to all subscribe to. But I don't. So please just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, a way for us to communicate with you back and forth with ease, not like Facebook. I have to go over there now and put it from private to public. But I want to thank everyone for their comments today and their support and the messages and the text messages and the phone calls. My phone's been ringing off the hook, not only the professional tenants, but from our supporters, and thanking me for doing what I'm doing. It's been 15 years coming, just trying to bring your voice to our elected officials. I've been a landlord for 24 years. I've had one tenant that went bad. I do it for you. And I want to make sure everyone understands that you have a community now that is here to support you. And we're not only looking out to support our landlords, but to support our good tenants. Shout out to our good tenants. And guys, if you are a landlord with good tenants, offer them to report their rent payments. Don't be selfish. It's $239 for the year. You can report up to 20 leases. help these tenants, help these good tenants who pay, even the ones who paid through COVID and, and didn't even flinch at the fact that they had to sacrifice other things. Help them build their credit so that they can use it for other things in their life, not just finding other accommodations or a home, but to have good credit now, it means everything to them. So log on to frontlobby.com. Make sure that you register as a premium member. You can do a free basic member if you want to test it out, but it's going to be money well spent. And I think that's what we have to identify ourselves, that we need to be more organized and more collaborating together. And I think doing that through Front Lobby is going to be key for us. So I want to thank everyone for their support. Bill 60 is just a step. Celebrate it, waiting for the royal ascent to happen. And then, hey, maybe we do a little conference, a little party again. I know we did 5 years of it and it was fun, giving out giveaways and prizes. But please, I want you to do me a favor right now. I'm going to post a video on Ontario Landlords Watch with what I was able to captivate today with Bill 60. And we're going to see all of those elected officials who bravely stood up to support Bill 60. Go over and like their social media pages, send them a message thanking them for supporting Bill 60, because I see what it's like to be bullied by tenant unions. And I know that they're being bullied just as the same. So please send some love to your elected officials as well. And we're trying to do this right up until Christmas. I'm going to see if I can do another live with you guys, because I do have my Christmas baking that needs to happen. I don't think my family or my friends are even gonna look at me twice if I don't give them some baking goods. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And if you want to be a part of this and be on this show, I am going to post the link right now into the StreamYard, because I am literally the host and the person behind the scenes for you guys. So I'm putting that in there. So if you want to request to be on the show, please come and tell your story, because these elected officials and media needs to know. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to do this.